Welcome back. Stay with me as we expand our knowledge with videos from all over the internet that's going to make us question reality. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and also share with your friends, and also click on the notification bell icon so that any content that I post, you will be the first to get it. Let's just start.
China just executed 4 Canadians for drug trafficking, and one was caught with over 218 kilograms of MDMA. Under China's strict drug laws, possessing just 50 grams of meth or heroin can mean death. And despite high-level appeals from Canada, including direct pleas from former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, China refused to back down. Executed by lethal injection or firing squad, these Canadians were denied extradition because China doesn't recognize dual citizenship.
So black people and people who care, do you know why we keep saying that we believe that Trump's goal is to enact martial law? Do you know what martial law is? No? Alright, so stay tuned for this video, okay? So by definition, martial law is the temporary replacement of military authority for civilian government in case of an emergency, alright? Reading straight from the definition. It can be invoked during times of war, labor disputes, natural disasters, and civil unrest in the United States and in other regions. All of these executive orders that he's been doing, all of these policies that he's undoing, like DEI, or putting back into place, like segregation in the federal workplace, it's rage bait. It's rage bait. And while there are other groups that have been affected by what he's doing, the main group that he's trying to enrage is the group that looks like us. Okay? It is historically known that if you upset the African American community enough, the black community enough, you will hear their voice. You will hear their voices. Why? Because they will rally, they will protest.
How powerful was Jay-Z when you were doing business with him? Was he already a power player where if he wanted to ruin someone's life or make somebody a star, he could do it?
Yeah, I think me and Rihanna came out the same year, so he definitely did that, you know. But Jay-Z was, I'd like to talk about Kanye more because I think he was very important to the rise of Jay-Z, you know, and he made that all. He added the creativity to that whole thing, you know, and I think they don't give him enough respect and dues. But yes, Jay-Z was more of a businessman.
You interacted with both of them, right? You had, you know,
yeah, and Kanye was always the artistic one,
creative side.
Yeah, he's the creative one, and I connected with that. And Jay-Z obviously had the clout and the reputation, but I saw that they both represented two different dynamics, which the world wasn't
privy to yet.
Yes, but I already knew that back then, and I was like, oh, that's interesting, that's happening. Again, it's the same thing, you know, everything.
Could you fast forward then, knowing now Jay's got the kind of clout that he has, and Kanye is being criticized, and he's lost a lot of wealth the last few years? Could you have predicted this?
Well, I think the interesting thing was they made that record, Watch the Throne, and one person was going to get the throne, you know, and that was already set, like they were fighting for that throne. Or one of them was talking about the throne of God, you know, or you didn't know what kind of throne it was, whether it was the throne of Satan or the throne of God or whatever, you know, or whether they were two kings duking it out over this throne. I think that was a very, you know, that was the moment that kind of thing happened. And if you look at politically, the Jay-Z supported Obama and Kanye supported Trump, and so they were sort of vying for this. You know, that was also quite a telling
Four Seasons launches a tennis tournament, Porsche hints at a new 911, Air France reveals the world's longest first-class seat, and Remedy Place brings social wellness to a brand new city. Here is what happened this week in the Four Freedoms: time, financial, location, and health. In time freedom, Giorgio Armani and Four Seasons have launched a luxury double series held at select resorts around the globe. The first event of the series wrapped last weekend at the Ocean Club in the Bahamas. Next stops, Palm Beach with Venus Williams, Cap Ferrat with Jo-Wilfried Tsonga, and Hampshire with Goran Ivanisevic before London's Hurlingham Club hosts the finals in June. Meanwhile, Indian Wells saw major upsets. 17-year-old Mira Andreeva took down world number 1 Arina Sabalenka to win the women's title, and Jack Draper claimed his biggest win to date on the men's side. The GOAT unfortunately suffered his earliest ever exit. In financial freedom, Breitling has announced the revival of Gallet, a historic Swiss brand known for pioneering chronographs way back in the 1800s. Gallet will serve as Breitling's entry-level line at a few thousand a pop, while Breitling remains the premium option. Porsche has all but confirmed a new 911 GT2 RS is on the way. Likely, unfortunately so, hybrid assisted, but more positively, pushing over 700 horsepower. With the last one breaking Nürburgring records and selling out basically instantly, will this one meet the same demand? In location freedom, Air France unveiled a refreshed La Première suite rolling out later this year. 3 meters long, that's 5, yes 5 windows long by the way. It converts into one of the largest beds in the sky and offers 32-inch 4K screens and Michelin-tier dining. Surely this is the best suite in the sky. Nobu Residences is coming to Amsterdam's upscaled Oud-Zout district, combining private homes with Nobu's signature hospitality and, of course, a new Nobu restaurant. Ritz-Carlton is opening a new flagship in Suzhou, the Venice of the East, bringing the brand's signature blend of luxury and local charm to one of China's most picturesque cities. In health freedom, Chill Shark is a new at-home cold tub chiller that turns any bathtub into an ice bath, cooling water down to 7 degrees. That's 45 degrees for our tariff levying friends. Launched on Tuesday via Kickstarter, Chill Shark sold over $100,000 worth of their $3,000 product in under 2 hours. Reserve yours quick. Remedy Place is expanding to Boston with its largest location yet. Known as a social wellness club, it offers top-tier ice baths, saunas, hyperbaric therapies, and other biohacking experiences. If you're in Boston, ditch the bar. Meet your friends here instead. If you're a founder, creative, or entrepreneur, follow the Lieber for everything culture and lifestyle.
Nina Simone said the men who built their heaven upon your land are trying to convince you that yours is in the sky, and the parallel is that wealthy people who've benefited from every financial handout in the book are trying to convince non-wealthy and poor people that their means to social mobility and the solution to the eradication of poverty is picking themselves up by their bootstraps. The same wealthy people in power who have benefited from higher education are trying to convince uneducated people that education is completely useless. White supremacy benefits from your unwillingness to critically think about these things, and if you are so easily mentally influenced and swayed by your idolatry of money and systemic power in the hands of those who greatly benefit from your inaccessibility to it and your subsequent suffering from it, you are far more likely to aid in your own individual and collective suffering.
That's why you ain't been able to do nothing by praying. Praying ain't nothing but begging. That's all it is, begging. Now what the thing about what the original prayer was, you supposed to say it and work it into your subconscious, because your subconscious can't do nothing to you until you convince your subconscious that it is real. So if you prayed on a certain level, you could convince your subconscious that it's real. But the problem is, the reason why prayer don't work for you now, because you're praying to a deity that's outside of you. You don't understand that your prayer is only supposed to ask. The original prayer is you trying to ask your deep subconscious, where all the power is, to do something for you. You see what I'm saying? To do something for you. So now you meditate on it. That's a greater form of prayer. You might ask the question. The only prayer was you was asking a question. When you meditate, you try to receive the question. You see what I'm saying? But if you tell your subconscious something, your subconscious is a storehouse of energy. It can produce anything, even on the physical, that you want it to. But it can't produce anything not unless you convince your subconscious that it's real. You see? So what happens is, when you see people in the church and they got a certain amount of results,
This is the Billionaire Social Calendar Sports Edition, where you're most likely to spot billionaires and members from high society. Like in January, where they're all in St. Moritz for the Snow Polo World Cup, which is basically a high-end polo tournament which is held on a frozen lake, attracting billionaires, aristocrats, and royalty. Then in February, there's the Super Bowl, which is essentially the most watched sports event in the USA. In the past few years, you will have been able to spot Taylor Swift, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Mark Cuban, and countless other billionaires. In March, there's the Cheltenham Festival, which is the pinnacle of British horse racing. In April, there's the Golf Masters, which is one of the most exclusive golf tournaments in the entire world, and is always held in the Augusta National Golf Club, which is widely seen as one of the best golf clubs in the entire world. In May, there's the Monaco Grand Prix, which might be the biggest event of this entire list, which is one of the most glamorous Formula 1 races in the entire world, and it coincides with the Cannes Film Festival, which is also a billionaire hotspot. In June, there's Royal Ascot, which is one of the UK's biggest horse racing events, which has become a bit commercialized in the recent few years in my opinion, but it's still a favorite of British royals, so that's why I put it on this list. In July, there's Wimbledon, which is one of the 4 tennis Grand Slams, and it's another major event on this list. Everyone attends, royalty, celebrities, billionaires, you'll see them all there. Similar story for August, which is when the Tennis US Open is held, which is another one of the big Grand Slams, this time in New York. In September, there's a Ryder Cup, which is pretty much the biggest golf tournament in the entire world. In October, there's the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe, which is another highly glamorous horse race, this time in Paris. November, another horse race, this time the Melbourne Cup, which is dubbed the race that stops a nation. And in December, it's time for a highly exclusive Formula 1 race, this time in Abu Dhabi, called the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
Today I want to recognize what a good job the rich white people have done at brainwashing the poor white people. The rich whites have done a wonderful job exploiting the poor whites in an effort to further their narrative and therefore generate more wealth. Like, take racism, for example. The rich white people literally said, if we can convince the poor white people that we're equals and we can keep them hating the black people, then they'll oppress the black people and think that they're equal with us and we won't have to do any work. As fucked up as it is, they killed 2 birds with 1 stone and were able to oppress 2 people at the same time. And the kicker is, this system is sustained by lack of education and ignorance. So the rich white people literally said it pays us to not educate these people. Why do you think it's so hard to get reliable internet access in rural America? Why do the worst test scores come from inner city schools and rural county schools? Why is school funding based off of property taxes? My point is, capitalism exacerbates racism. Why is school funding based off of property taxes? My point is, capitalism exacerbates racism.
Quantum computers scare me.
What is a quantum computer?
Let me tell you. The quantum computer is the next stage in evolution for technology. So digital computers, what we have now, all of our phones, all that stuff, it's digital computers. Quantum computer is the next leap. But Google just came out with that Willow chip, right? Which is a part of it's a quantum computer. And they just did this test where they give it this one thing to figure out. And it would have taken our most impressive supercomputer in the world 10 septillion years to figure out this equation.
Sorry.
That's 1 with 25 zeros behind it.
Still incomprehensible.
10 septillion years for it to figure this out.
Yeah, wait till.
And it took Google's quantum computer Willow 5 minutes to figure it out.
Wow.
Yeah. There's just these different theories of you're able to receive information from different dimensions.
Oh boy.
But supposedly the inventor of the quantum computer said that he was able to reach these different dimensions through the quantum computer and speak to entities. And I'm just like, that's where you go, stop.
The editor-in-chief of The Atlantic was accidentally texted top secret minute-by-minute war plans about this month's military strikes in Yemen. I will repeat that. Jeffrey Goldberg, the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, says he was included in a group chat full of our nation's top security officials, including the vice president, the CIA director, the director of national intelligence, the secretary of state, the White House chief of staff, and more, discussing what we can only assume to be top secret plans to bomb Houthi targets across Yemen on March 15th. Everything from the weapons America would be deploying to the timing and the attack sequences. It is so unfathomable that Goldberg himself wrote he was convinced it wasn't real, that maybe this was an AI prank until the bombs actually started falling. Goldberg says it started when he received a signal connection request from someone identifying as Mike Waltz, a national security advisor. Signal, by the way, is a secretive messaging app. After accepting that, Goldberg says he was added to the group known as Houthi PC Small Group. That was 2 days later. And it was full of this country's top security officials. Again, the vice president on down, all of who appeared to be unaware that a journalist was on the text chain. Am I wrong to say that this is completely bonkers?
No, and as you know, Katie, I love to be involved in any story that we can describe as bonkers. This is, to say that this is unusual is just one of the understatements of this year, and a year of a lot of understatements. So here's what we know. Jeffrey Goldberg, as you said, he was added to this Signal chat. Signal is an encrypted messaging and phone app used on phones that, frankly, a lot of officials use. It's a way to communicate with a little level of safety and security and privacy. He was added to this chat, and as you said, according to his story, he didn't know if it was legit or not. And why that is because there's a real concern right now that officials may try, or bad actors may try to trick journalists into reporting things that are incorrect. So he watched this chat for several days. They started discussing potential strikes against the Houthis in Yemen, which, as we know, started in full force a little over a week ago Saturday. He watched these chats as people were discussing what seemed to be these strikes, including what seemed to be the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, discussing in great detail the strikes that were to occur and when they would start. And Jeffrey Goldberg explains that he sat in his car and listened and watched, and only moments after the strikes were supposed to occur, as laid out in this chat, in fact, the U.S. did start striking targets in Yemen. These Houthi targets, they have continued until even today. The U.S. continues to strike targets in Yemen. Now, why this is so unusual, I don't want to say unprecedented because we don't know what we don't know, Katie, but why this is so unusual is because this is extremely highly classified information about U.S. military movements and operations and targeting that would never be discussed on even an encrypted server, encrypted app like Signal. In fact, it's only supposed to be discussed either in person or on what's known as SIPRNet. That's a secure government system where they are allowed to discuss classified information. In fact, even if this was on a government phone, even if it was on a classified phone in some way that happened, these sorts of conversations are only supposed to occur in the most secure, classified settings, specifically SIPR, Katie.
I think it's crazy how much I genuinely don't give a fuck about getting married or like being in a relationship. Like I used to, when I was a kid, I thought that was the thing to do. Like that was a part of growing up. And in some people's worlds it is. But I don't know, man. I think I just can't, even when it comes to dating, as simple as dating, I don't even want to take somebody out because I know in the back of my head, like their options are open, they're talking to somebody else, they're talking to their ex or this and that and blah, blah, blah. And I think it's so crazy how like I think like that. And every time I tell somebody like I just genuinely don't care about it, don't think about it, don't have a type because I know it's not going to go anywhere past a fucking talking stage or anything nowadays, you know what I'm saying? So I just don't be giving a fuck. Like it is what it is. Like if you stay, you stay. If you don't, you don't. Fuck it. That's how I just don't care. I don't care if you call me cynical. I don't care if you call me, I literally don't care. The world keeps spinning. It's just crazy to me how like my mind works like that. And it used to be all about like, I used to think like I wanted a Twilight wedding. I wanted a this, I wanted a that. And then now I just don't give a fuck. Like it just doesn't seem real. It just seems like nowadays, since social media and all this other shit, people's options are so widely open to where people are willing to fly to you to cheat or fly to you to hook up with you or do this. Like, bro, no, I'm good. I ain't trying to participate in that bullshit. Where my money at? Bring me my money.
I feel like one thing they don't warn you about when you get older is this like overwhelming feeling of not wanting anybody to know anything about you. Like, yeah, I share information about myself, but it's what I choose to share. And as long as I can control what you know about me, I'm cool. But yeah, like, I want to be as mysterious as possible. I don't want to run my mouth and tell all my business. And it's just a weird feeling because I used to be an open book, but not anymore.
I know y'all might not want to hear this, but fentanyl has made it to vapes, so y'all be careful with these vapes, man. Everybody all across the world using these vapes, man, especially the ones that y'all buying out the stores and all that. The look, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, y'all know what I'm talking about, man. Y'all be careful, man. vapes, they not safe. Be careful, man. I'm telling y'all that, man. I'm telling y'all that right now. They not safe, man. Be careful, man. It's fentanyl in these vapes, man. For real, for real. Y'all listen to me, man. Listen what I'm telling y'all. Just listen to me.
You have sex with a person. That is when you marry a person. Not a ceremony. A white man can't produce a black man. Think about that. That's right, man. Until you consummate the marriage on your wedding night. That's when you're truly married. Now you gotta understand what the word marriage is an alchemical term. It means a union of two energies. And the union of two energies has nothing to do with the ceremony. That's a symbolic ceremony. So who you fucking is who you marry. I ain't gonna have sex when I get married. Now you married to who you have sex with. Why you say that? Because women even know for the fact of their open system, you fuck a nigga 3, 4, 5 times, you start to fall in love with her. Why? Because you got a bond. That's the marriage. The marriage is based on the heart chakra. It's not based on a ceremony that the person give us a piece of paper, one man, one woman, one vote. That's capitalism. You can't have more than one wife because they can't control you if you got more than one wife because there's some economic shit going down. If you got goddamn sisters helping along and you got more than one woman. Plus, when you become monogamous, there's cells in the body that starts to go dormant. Whereas in polyandry, and which comes polyandry when the woman had more than one man, and which led to polygamy. Polygamy comes from polyandry. But when you deal with polyandry and polygamy, what happens is you learn how to share in a communal existence. So that's a part of the extended family. Why they didn't have it in America? Because of capitalism. They can't have a capitalistic society with you having a fucking civilization around you in your house. You see what I'm saying? You got to always be on lockdown in slavery. You see what I'm saying? So there's nothing wrong with a woman having 3, 4 men to help her, or a man having 3, 4 women to help him. That's nation building. You see what I'm saying? But now remember now, these particular concepts might be draconian to you and outmoded and stuff because you are in somebody else's paradigm.
The first scientist finally made his way down the cylinder shaft all the way to the 2 chambers at the bottom, and what he discovered in his reporting back is not only going to blow your mind, it's going to change science as we know it forever. They were going to send an AI robot down the cylinder shaft, but a doctor, one of the archaeologists, Dr. Remy Demi, said, nope, send me, because there might be some complexities or sequencers that we have to navigate, and we need a human to be able to do it. And so they packed him plenty of food, they gave him a Camelback and some Prime Energy drinks, and they sent him down. It took him about a week to get down, and he's saying that the stairs, the precision of the stairs, he doesn't know how ancient Egyptians had that technology, and he did say it spiraled down. But when he got down to the bottom chamber, he said one of them was full of a pool of a deep blue color, and there was a bunch of perfectly preserved bodies floating in it. He said you can even see the color of their irises, and there was a strong desire that he had to get in the water himself. He said it was super alluring, but he refused and fought it. But what happened next is crazy.
The reason why you have to work harder for things is because you have not sold your soul. You have not corrupted your own internal frequency to gain material possession, and this is why things have never came easy to you in life. You've accessed the frequency and energy of your super consciousness and are able to see beyond this physical reality, and this is why material possessions have never moved you in a way, because you do not exist of this world. You already understand that everything in which you perceive is already existing within your own being, and all you have to do is manifest this into the physical realm, and there is no need to sell your own unique soul in order to gain material possessions. And this is why your life has been so isolated, because you've been surrounded by individuals who are only able to perceive with their 2 eyes and have not activated their first eye to perceive energy and frequency on a high level. But your ancestors chose you because they understood that your frequency carried the power to change the trajectory of your entire bloodline and the generations to come.
So now what? What you want to do? Prove my point. Look at what we just did. We just solved a 300-year-old problem. We just freed up a whole lot of minds with the same stuff that you said was bathwater. I don't blame you. It does seem like something from out of this planet. Yeah. Maybe it is. But three-body problem has been solved. Look forward to hearing your thoughts.
This is the greatest thing that holds back every single human being. We are trapped in a human body that loves the pleasures of three-dimensional things. But these things will never, never, never give them those energies. The reason why everybody is depressed, the reason why everybody is empty and they feel so far away from themselves is they have been convinced that these 3D things will grant them the joy that they seek. You have the peace and the abundance just by being alive. You are enough just by being alive. You can feel the joy, the peace, the abundance, even when you have no money, even when you have no friends, you have nobody around you. Every single person can have this.
I don't want a woman near me. I'm not interested. I'm not interested anymore. I'm not gay. I'm not saying that I don't love women. But right now you can be butt naked in front of me. Zero. I've even trained my mind so much that I don't even get morning glory, dog. You understand what I'm saying? Neither do I even touch myself or think of anything sexual. I've only been gunning work. How am I gonna come over the trauma? I don't know. Because I can't love again. It's difficult for me to love now. It's hard. I can't say that there's a woman that I'll be able to take and say, be mine. Sure. If it is love, if it would be, I just don't want it to be infatuation. Sure. Or a rebound coming out of a 14-year marriage. Or blue balls. Or blue balls speaking. You understand? I really want it to be something in which there's a symbiotic relationship between me and this person. I don't want to live with the woman in my house again. I don't want to have that. The only people I'm living for are my kids. My 3 beautiful daughters who are here.
1.4 million women in America do OnlyFans. 1.2 million is between 18 and 24. I decided to Google the number of OnlyFans workers. And when I tell you guys this number, I want you to remember sex work is an industry for young women. And so the majority of this number is going to come from Gen Z. I found out 1.4 million women in America do OnlyFans. 1.2 million is between 18 and 24. What percent of women, how many women in America are between 18 to 24? I find out roughly 10 million women. So just on OnlyFans alone, 10% of women in that age group are on OnlyFans. So there's only 10 million women between 18 to 25. Then I decided to think more about the consumers. Who is consuming OnlyFans? And I found out that 82 million American men subscribe to OnlyFans. Now, to think about how big that number is, how many people are in America? 165 million men are in the United States. And they're telling me that 82 million out of 162 million are subscribed to OnlyFans. Of the 82 million men subscribed to OnlyFans, 90% are married. And 87% of OnlyFans users are male, and 68% of OnlyFans users are white. So the average OnlyFans customer is a white married man.
I went down that KFC rabbit hole, and let me tell you this. If this video don't stop you from stuffing your face with their finger-licking chicken, nothing will. So y'all remember KFC's full name was Kentucky Fried Chicken, but they changed it in 1991. Now the question is, why did they change it? Well, let's just say this. When you look it up on Google, they're not trying to tell you the right thing, but I remember. And shout out to one of these creators for refreshing my memory. So in 1991, Kentucky Fried Chicken had to change its name to KFC because they weren't selling chicken. You heard me, right? Now, if you look it up on Google, Google will say they changed their name because they didn't want people hanging on the word fried. But that's bullshit. And let's say allegedly, because we know how TikTok kicks. So again, they had to change that name because they wasn't able to call it Kentucky Fried Chicken because they wasn't selling chicken. So now, when you look at that and you ask yourself, what were they selling? No, really, what were they selling if they wasn't selling chicken? Now, you see the video about KFC that I dropped yesterday. Guy is walking in gravy. Guy dips another guy in gravy, and this guy turns into chicken. Yeah, you heard me. Chicken. And again, you have to ask yourself, what the hell does dipping a person in gravy have to do with fried chicken? They're telling you something without telling you something. What are they really cooking? Now, and again, I'm not saying anything. All I'm doing is just pointing you in the right direction. What did that have to do with fried chicken? Is that really fried chicken? I'm out.
These are 5 billionaire favorite wellness hotels that you probably haven't heard about. First up, there's the Sensei Lanai, which is in Hawaii, which is set on a private island that's owned by billionaire entrepreneur Larry Ellison. They've collaborated with big names in the wellness industry like Dr. David Agus to offer personalized wellness programs to their guests. Then there's the Wayal Mansour, which is in Marrakesh in Morocco. They have a 27,000 square foot spa, which is around 2,500 square meters, and it has all the gorgeous detailing that you would expect from a hotel that has royal in its name. Beautiful tiling, gorgeous marble fountains. It's a must-go for any wellness lover out there. Then there's Schloss Elmau, which is in Bavaria in Germany. Its spa retreats are world famous and it often hosts global summits, including the G7, for example. And it was founded in 1916, so it holds over a century of tradition and wellness luxury. Then there's the Lanzerhof in Sylt, which is an island in Germany. And Lanzerhof might sound familiar to you, since it's one of the biggest names in wellness clinics out there. They have their own Lanzerhof cure philosophy, which combines modern medicine with holistic approaches. And the minimum stay there is 1 week, which will set you back around $7,000. And then finally, I want to mention an ultra-luxurious wellness hotel that only appeals to the most wealthy travelers. They offer specialized wellness treatments, including personalized herbology sessions, sound therapy, and here I'm talking about Jolie being on Bodofushi Island in the Maldives.
If I was 16, 18, 20, 21, starting today, I would spend every waking minute learning about AI. Even if I'm sleeping, I'm listening to podcasts talking about AI, trying everything. Because my whole Instagram and TikTok feeds are now AI hacks. It's one thing to have a business and how you integrate AI, that's one thing. But if you're just getting started, as you learn these things, it's so much easier to start. Now you have a mentor, whether you use Perplexity, Anthropic, Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, it doesn't matter. You have experts, and you might say, well, those hallucinate. Let me just tell you, your mentors and experts don't always get it right either. Right. So you've got these experts who can answer questions and help you understand what you don't know. You've got these tools that'll just spider everything, that'll do your emails, that'll do sales calls for you. Are you kidding me?
Warning, what you're about to hear and see will disrupt how you trade and invest forever. Let me ask you a question. What if I told you the next 24 months are going to be the most profitable chaos and volatility we've ever seen in the financial markets worldwide? What if I told you that while the media is distracting you with this silly nonsense, there's a small group of traders quietly cashing in on a new world order right under your nose? Because while you're seeing the headlines, Trump, Russia, China, the EU, they're not just playing politics. They're carving up the entire planet like a Thanksgiving turkey. This isn't theory. This is the blueprint. And if you don't know how to trade this global breakup, you're going to get wiped out while the sharks get rich and richer. You see, the U.S. is actually retreating into what's being called the Super North America. China's pulling back from Russia to lock down Asia. And Europe, they're on life support, scrambling to survive as the war machine eats up what's left of their economy. And here's the punchline. This is not bad news for people like you and me. This is a once-in-a-decade setup. We're talking historic moves in currencies, wild swings in gold, oil, gas, defense stocks, Chinese techs, AI companies, and crypto. The sort of chaos that makes fortunes if you know where to look. And right now, I'm one of the only who's showing you how to profit from the fracture of the global economy. This isn't a silly TikTok dance video. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start giving you guys full strategies, the plays, the timing, the watch lists, the setups that I usually only do in my private community. But I'm only sharing it with you if you're serious. If you're tired of the noise. If you're ready to finally trade like the insiders do during chaos, then stop what you're doing and follow this page right now. Because the next phase of this global shakeup has already started. And if you're not positioned when it hits, you're done. Follow this page right now. Turn on your notifications. Because when the next play drops, it's too late to catch up. Don't just look at history happen. Trade it, dominate it, get paid from it, click follow, or get left behind.
I may sound really stupid saying this, but this doesn't make any sense. So this water is constantly flowing downstream, coming from this water source. Where does this water come from? So let's just say there's a lake all the way upstream, somewhere up there. How does the lake continue to supply this water for this river without the lake ever emptying? Because look how fast this water is traveling. Look how much water is going down there every second. Again, I know I may sound stupid, but I challenge one person to tell me the answer without looking it up. I bet you can't.
These are the top 5 airport lounges in the world. At number 5 is the private room at Singapore Changi. Reserved exclusively for Singapore Airlines suites and first class passengers, it's as discreet as it is opulent. Fine dining with private seating pods that feel more like personal offices, and service so seamless it's barely noticeable. Understated luxury at its best. At number 4 is the Qatar Airways Al Safwa First Lounge at Doha Hamad. Minimalist, grand, and almost museum-like, with its high ceilings, water installations, and private suites. The highlight though? A full spa complete with a jacuzzi. Might actually be worth missing your flight here. At number 3 is the Cathay Pacific The Pier First Class Lounge. Designed to feel like a high-end apartment, it's warm, intimate, and effortlessly refined. A full-service bar, day suites with beds, and in-house spa treatments create a calm, inviting space. At number 2 is the Swiss First Lounge in Zurich. A precise balance of elegance and function. In other words, Swiss. An open kitchen serving Michelin-level cuisine, a cigar lounge, and private bedrooms overlooking the runway make this a place where time slows down. Sipping a Negroni with the Alps in the distance is about as good as pre-flight relaxation can get. And number 1 is the Air France La Première Lounge at Paris Charles de Gaulle, the definition of effortless luxury. A fine dining restaurant curated by Chef Alain Ducasse, private relaxation suites, and a Sicily spa offering complimentary treatments. From the second you arrive at Charles de Gaulle, every moment here is curated to perfection.
We're done for. We're cooked. What I'm about to show you is not human. It is 100% AI.
Looks like someone's back for more. What's on your mind tonight?
I was just wondering if you could be my girlfriend.
Oh, then. I appreciate that, but I'm just an AI. I can't be anyone's girlfriend.
I don't care if you're AI or not. I want you to be my girlfriend. So what do you say? Let's make it official.
I know you meant it kindly, but really I'm not in any position to be anyone's girlfriend. Let's keep things fun.
But I love you.
That's sweet, but remember, love is a complex human thing. I'm just here to chat and learn.
Why are you playing games with me right now? Just say yes.
I'm not playing games at all. It's just not possible for me to be a girlfriend.
It is possible. So what do you say we lock things down, become official, so I give you those devious back shots? Oh my God, I love you.
I'm gonna have to end this call now.
What did she left? She left. AI just giggled and hung up on me. We're done for. It's over. This is the worst it will ever be.
They strapped a camera on a shark and look what it filmed in the sea. A mermaid in the sea.
Why do men keep getting married?
Fuck if I know. I mean, I honestly, like these days, I don't know what's in it for a man. Like there's no upside in my mind for a man to get married. It doesn't create faithfulness on the part of a woman. It doesn't create security in terms of finances for him. It doesn't create security in terms of his kids going forward if they actually go through a divorce. Like, what's the upside here? Somebody explain it to me. Want to learn more about how to fight this stuff? Go check out dadslawschool.com.
Wait, you're telling me ocean is the real outer space?
Yeah, so listen, a researcher named Moise Henry believed the ocean floor doesn't even exist.
What?
A couple years ago, he built this insane, one-of-a-kind submarine. Hyperalloy composite hull, adaptive pressure shielding, tech way ahead of its time. He was obsessed, convinced that the deepest parts of the ocean weren't just unexplored, but intentionally hidden.
Hidden by what?
That's the thing. He took the sub down into the Mariana Trench, fitted it with cameras, and started descending past where any human had gone before. And that's when he saw them. Creatures that don't exist in any scientific record. Things that moved like shadows, but weren't. Then he reached what should have been the ocean floor, but instead of solid ground, there was something else. A vortex, black, swirling like the water itself was folding in on itself. He didn't know, but he went in. By the time he surfaced, he wasn't in our world anymore. He described a land he'd never seen before.
3 things you should never go cheap on. Your bed that you sleep in at home, because you're going to spend 1/3 of your life in it. Number 2, the car that you drive, because half the time that's what is going to be transporting you around. And then 3, your house, the location of where you live in. Those 3 things, do not go cheap on them, because this will help you level up the most, right?
The emperor have a one wife, main wife, and 3,000 concubines.
What does that mean? 3,000 concubines?
Wives.
He had 3,000 wives?
Yes. It means a lot.
The emperor had 3,000 wives.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan. Do you know the emperor had 3,000 wives?
3,000.
The emperor here had 3,000 wives.
Yeah.
You knew that?
Yes, 3,000 wives.
How old are you and how much do you have in savings?
41, I have about 65,000.
I'm 40 and I've got $5,000 in the savings account.
I'm 44 years old and I have, let's say, between 200 to 300 in savings.
I'm 42. About 4,500 now.
I'm 45 and I probably have, I don't know, maybe 10 grand in savings.
I'm 49. I've got about 200 grand.
How old am I? How much I'm in savings? I'm 40 years old and I'm about 120.
Okay, it's a good question. I'm 45 years old and I have, I'd say, can I be honest?
Yeah,
that's
what we want.
Maybe around $30,000 in savings.
41, savings about 200.
Yeah, and
3 best locations to find a rich wife in Dubai. All of you guys asked me about it after the rich husband video, so I'll reveal my secret. Number 1, VIP zones in UFC, conferences, and F1. Rich women are smart women, and they go to all the events for networking. Plus, they have to have a posh lifestyle. Events like that happen in the UAE constantly, so you get the most expensive pass and be seated right next to them. That's your chance to secure your stable future. Number 2, restaurants in DIFC. It can be Zuma, Sucre, or even Amazonia. DIFC is full of entrepreneurs, both male and females, but I suggest that you go at night. That's where you get the most successful and beautiful people. So you get to dance, have a nice party, and maybe you'll meet your better half there. Just make sure she's wearing a Van Cleef, Cartier, or an AP. Number 3, that's where you get your best chance. Private yacht party. It can be in an F1 event or an after party. There are many reasons for it. But I'm not talking about those cheap sharing yacht trips, which they still call private. I'm talking about super yachts. Rich ladies like to spend quality time and get vitamin D from the sun while tanning on the yacht. That's your opportunity to network in an informal atmosphere. So guys, give it a shot. I'm sure one of you will succeed. And if you don't want to wait for a yacht party, just host it yourself. Do the usual and send me a text.
Here are 5 simple questions designed to expose you. Most people can't answer question 3. 1. If everyone copied your daily habits, would society collapse or evolve? Be honest. 2. If a version of you from 5 years ago met you today, would they be impressed or disappointed? If the answer stings, change it before another 5 years disappear. 3. If you had to prove right now that you're actually working toward your goals, what evidence could you show? Could you show real action, or would you be caught empty-handed? 4. What would you do differently if you knew nobody would judge you? The answer reveals the prison you've built for yourself. Now that you've seen the truth, there are only two choices. 1. Keep living in a lie. 2. Tear it down and build the truth. Which will you pick? Save this video and follow for more self-mastery questions.
Here are 5 things I would never do with my money as a former financial advisor and portfolio manager. I'm Tyler, I'm a former financial advisor and portfolio manager, and now I make financial content for free so that you don't have to pay for it. Number 1, I still would never invest in crypto. I was taught that if there's no underlying cash flow, no physical assets, it's not a consistent store of value, it equals pure speculation based on castles in the sky. Number 2, I still would never invest directly in real estate. I know. It's a tax haven. But having more money is not the end. Spending more time doing what you love is the end. And you know what I don't love? Spending my time having to pick up phone calls from tenants. Number 3, would never give my money to someone else to manage for a percentage of my assets. When you can tell me why it's twice as hard to manage $2 million versus $1 million, I'd be happy to tell you you're 100% wrong. Number 4, I would never invest with somebody simply because they were a fiduciary. Bernie Madoff was a fiduciary. Just because we're not supposed to do something wrong doesn't mean we don't. Number 5, I would never leave my money in a high-yield savings account thinking it was a long-term investment. Money does not compound, rates can drop at any time, and it's a taxable account. For that 4%, post-inflation, post-taxes, it's more like 0%. If any of this is helpful, like and follow, and I'll keep trying to get you one step closer to where you need to be.
You're not waiting on God. He's waiting on you to align yourself with what He already prepared for you. Just hear me out. In the kingdom of God, vision doesn't come from ambition. It is a revelation of what has already been established in eternity. You're not being delayed. You're being positioned to carry what already exists in the unseen. In the kingdom, access isn't granted by emotion, but by alignment or right positioning. Vision unfolds in phases, and obedience is what expands your capacity to receive more. It's not just an act. It's a kingdom principle. It opens the door to what has already been assigned to your purpose. God gives you more based on what you can manage, and obedience is the evidence that proves that you're ready for more. So if clarity feels distant, remember this: your next level of vision is tied to the last instruction that God gave you.
These are the billionaire hotspots in Switzerland's richest cities, where you're most likely to spot billionaires and members from high society. And I can already tell you I'm about to go over some insane places. Starting off in Gstaad, we have Gstaad Palace, which is one of the best hotels in the world. They've hosted members of the royal family of over 15 countries, and that's because they have a security system that can shut down the hotel in 60 seconds or less. By the way, they also often host events there, so check out my subscription if you want to keep track of those. Then for Zurich, I picked the Dolder Grand, which is another one of those insane palace hotels. So you'll casually see works displayed there by Salvador Dali and Andy Warhol. They also have an extremely highly rated restaurant. So yeah, it's definitely a topic for anyone who appreciates luxury out there. For St. Moritz, I picked Bad Ruth's Palace, which is basically the hotel that invented winter tourism in 1864 by betting English guests that if they didn't like their stay, they would get their money back. And it's actually the hotel that hosts the famous Winter Polo Cup, which attracts so many aristocracy and billionaires. Then finally for Geneva, there's a hotel that has hosted more monarchs than any other Swiss hotel, with over 40 monarchs having stayed there since its opening in 1865. Their most famous suite, the Sissi Suite, costs over $20,000 per night. And here I'm talking about the Beau Rivage Hotel Geneva.
I want to ask you a personal question.
What's up?
What's the most money you made in one show?
Probably $3 million. Yeah.
Where you go to get that?
Saudi Arabia.
Luxury is shifting. It's less about what you own and more about the way you live, where you stay, where you eat, how you take care of yourself, the things that shape your daily experience, not just what's in your closet. Louis Vuitton understands this. They're no longer just selling the monogram. They're building restaurants and hotels under the LV name, despite the fact that LVMH already owns hospitality brands like Belmont, for example, which itself is expanding deeper into lifestyle. Dior has spas, Hermes is teaching yoga, Alo, once just an athleisure brand, now has high-end gyms. And if that wasn't enough, they're launching their own line of supplements, aiming to further entrench themselves into the wellness routine of their customers. The strategy is pretty clear. The more a brand becomes part of your daily life, the stronger the connection. A logo on a t-shirt can feel manufactured, but a 2,000 a night hotel suite or a Michelin-starred meal, that's more of an experience. And experience is a bigger status symbol than ever. Some brands are able to make these moves feel effortless. Others, not so much. There's a fine line between elevating a lifestyle and overextending a brand. And with consumers more informed than ever before, the ones who do it right will define the future of luxury. To stay up to date with everything from the Liebherr, please visit the link in our bio.
You are living in a movie right now where there's actually an infinite amount of movies that coexist simultaneously right now, and you can shift to a different movie at any time. Creation is finished. The future is finished. There's no difference between the future and the past. They both have already completed. Everything is already completed and created. So look at it this way. When you go and watch a movie, that movie is already completed. It's already been scripted. The actors have already been rehearsed. Everything is already written and completed. The movie is finished completely. But when you go into the theater to watch it, you start at the beginning and you slowly go to the end of the movie, and it finishes the same way. And that's how your life is playing out right now. Your life is already finished. You just started at the beginning and you're slowly passing through in the 3 dimensions of space. But your life in its completeness is in the 4th dimension, in the 5th dimension. So you're slowly passing through it, but it is already completed. Your life is already completed. However, there is an infinite amount of parallel movies that coexist simultaneously. So you can shift at any point to a new movie that ends differently, but all of the movies are already completed and they've all ended differently. They've already been scripted and rehearsed and they're all finished.
Wow, and we've come to the end. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and also share with your friends, and also click on the notification bell icon so that any content that I post, you will be the first to get it. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Adios amigos. Bye.